So I finished reading A Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins. Tabbed the heck out of this thing. I don't know if you can see all the freaking tabs because I used ones that kind of match the sprayed edges. But anyways, so here we go. All right, we'll start with this handy dandy bookmark here. So I started it April 26th and I finished it on May 3rd. Fast-paced read, got the bunny. I cried, I was mad, and I was shocked. Boggs and Joanna were my favorite characters in this particular part of the book. They really stood out to me. My favorite quote is on page 388 of this version. I don't know if the pages are the same for all of them. So it says, "What I need is the dandelion in the spring, the bright yellow that means rebirth instead of destruction. The promise that life can go on no matter how bad our losses. Only PETA can give me that." I just thought that was gorgeous. Picking a favorite line from this book was so difficult. Some of my closing thoughts is Gale should... Oh, I was like, Gale definitely showed his colors in this one, right? Like, the scene where they are, and by the way, they're spoilers. The scene where they're at Katniss's home in the Victor's Village when they go back and visit 12, and he says, "Remember, this is where you kissed me." She said, "I thought you didn't remember that." He's like, "Well, I'd have to be dead to forget. Maybe not even then." And he, goes off on this thing, and then she looks at him and she thinks that he's crying, or he looks like he's about to cry, and she's never seen him cry, and so she kisses him, and he says, "I knew you'd kiss me right now." And she was like, "How could you know that?" Like, she was thinking to herself, "I didn't even know I was going to do that. How could you know that?" And he says, "Because I'm in pain, and that's the only time you notice me." And he is such a selfish creature, because then when the whole thing happens with Prim and the bomb and everything, and then he's like, "That's the only thing I ever had going for me was I would take care of your family. I could take care of you and your family, and now I can't even claim that." Bitch, this is not about you. Her fucking sister died, okay? It's not about you. PETA's hijacking had a horrific effect on him and Katniss. Katniss losing Prim when everything she did was to save her. Just gut-wrenching. Chaos of the War was very present in the writing. There's times where you're reading and you have to, if you're like me and you have ADHD, you have to go back and reread a couple of chapters because just the chaos of it. It was everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it was a great book. I absolutely loved it. Gave it 5 stars. Obviously, off to start Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes soon, and then whenever Sunrise on the Reaping comes out in paperback, I'll be grabbing that and reading it then too. One of the things that stood out for me about Joanna and Boggs, and I had to look at my notes here. It says, in this book, Katniss didn't have PETA to remind her of how great she was and her effect on people, but Joanna and Boggs were the two least likely to assume that role, and they did. They did. They helped build her up when she was feeling down, especially after her first interactions with PETA, and he was like, "Well, that's not very nice of you." She's like, "I was never the nice one." And even though she had witty remarks, she later would, recall things he said to her and then feel like, she's like, "I didn't realize how much I needed his faith in me, and now it's gone." So yeah, though Joanna and Boggs were the two least likely in my mind going into this to assume that role as somebody that would help build her up when she's feeling low. And they did. They came through big. So anyways, more on the Hunger Games saga later.